Hello and welcome to the video. This is a follow-up to the video I did a while ago, having a first look at this radio here. This is the T16 from Jumper, and it's a fantastic radio for £120. But one of the things that I've had is lots of questions about how to set up models on this, because as we looked at in that video, the default wizards are inherited from OpenTX, and OpenTX still haven't got round to actually sorting out decent wizards for these big colour screens like you get on this and things like the X10S from FreeSky. So what I'm going to do is in this video is kind of go through and show you how to navigate around on the radio. Then we'll go through and I'll show you how to set up the common types of models, so things like wings, regular planes, quadcopters. And then I'll also show you a few other tips and tricks as well. So hopefully as the firmware continues to be updated and change, things like the wizards will improve. But let's go on the desk and I'll show you how to do navigation first and show you through what each of the buttons do on the front. So job one, of course, is going to be to turn it on. Press and hold the power button. You'll see the lights go across the top and then it'll power up. And then what I'll do is let me just show you through each of the buttons. So the main menus that you're going to get into, the first one is the system menu. This is the system button. Pressing and holding that will take you into the radio setup for all the standard things that you would normally do in OpenTX. Pressing return, which is over here, will take you out of it. Press and holding the model button here will take you into the model settings, and you can press the page button to change the individual things you're looking at. Now everything that we're going to go through here is pretty standard OpenTX. It looks a lot prettier because it's in colour and everything laid out very nicely. So go and have a look at the OpenTX series. Everything that's in there is very transportable directly onto this radio without any real hassle. But what I'm going to do is obviously we're going to return out of that, and the last one is to how you select the different model memories, because you can have loads of model memories on this, and that's you press and hold the roller button, don't need to squeeze the life out of it, and then you've got model select, monitors and everything else. So let me just return out of that for now. So those are the buttons we're going to use. The only other button that we haven't played with is this one down here. This is the telemetry button, and this allows you to set up the different telemetry, and we will look at that after we've set up some models. So let's return out of it, and first of all let's set up a standard 4-channel model. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the roller button, we're going to press and hold it, we're going to go into model select, and there are the 3 models that I have, one called Crossfire, one called Quad, and one called Wing. We're going to press and hold the roller button again, and this time we have another sub option where we can delete the model, create all kinds of wackiness. And all we're going to do is we're going to click on create a new model. Now this only at the moment gives us the 2 options of a glider or a plane, so we're just going to go through the plane one. The glider one is almost identical, so we'll click enter on the roller button, and then it'll ask us, does it have a motor? And we can say yes or no. We can either select it and then roll the button to change the answer, and then once you've got it set to the one that you're after, you can then hit the enter key again and you can decide which channel it's going to be on. Now, but I'm just going to set the defaults by now, so I'm just going to click page. So we've got let's change it to 1 aileron actually with a Y cable. Does it have flaps? No. Does it have a standard output? Yes, it does. But again, you know, we could change it for V-tail. You've got all those different setups. But we'll change the basic one. And then we'll hit page again. And it will say good. We'll hit page one last time. All is well, create the plane. We'll hit enter. And there we go. Return to exit. So now we have a new model. So if I press and hold it, we'll then duplicate or move the model, do any of that kind of stuff. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start setting it up. So let's select the model we're interested in, go for model 10, and we're going to then select the model page. So we know it's the model that's selected. You can see that it's got a little tick by the side. If we want to change to another model, we just highlight the one we want and then press and hold the roller key and then say select model, and then that's going to give me that model. I don't want that one. I'm going to press and hold the roller. I'm going to say model select. I'm going to roll down to model 10 that we've just created. I'm going to press and hold the roller key and say select model, and there we are, we're done. Again, failsafe warning not set. So now in this screen I can press the model button, press and hold it to go into each of the settings. Pressing page will allow me to go through all the standard stuff, the inputs, the mixers for the outputs, everything. So let's have a quick look at what it's done by default. Here we can press and hold the roller key and change the name of it. We can go down, press return to come out of that, and select a model image. So you can, there's some here already, but you can create and upload your own. If you want me to show you how to do that, then let me know. Let's have my pill. We can then select the kind of timer we want. I tend to select throttle start, and then we can select. There she goes. She's going to start complaining now. And by going to the bottom of this particular screen, if we go right to the very bottom, this is where we are going to do our binding pieces. The internal RF needs to be off, of course, because we're not going to use the internal RF pieces. It doesn't have any. The external mode is going to be the multi, and then that will allow us to change the kind of multi that we want and how that's all going to work. Okay, and then we can select bind and do all that goodness. So let's return out of that for now. Press page. So there we have the heli setup. I do have a heli setup video. I'd refer you to that to go and have a look if you want to know how to set all that up. I'll put a link in the description. Then we have the different flight modes. The inputs it creates by default are the 4 standard inputs, and then we've got the 4 standard outputs, and those were created by the individual questions that we had on the model setup. So all of that stuff is pretty standard. There's nothing pretty crazy in here. If you want to change anything, press and holding page will actually take you back that way in the menu. So maybe, let's say on the inputs, we want to add a little bit of exponential. We're going to press and hold on the control we want. We're going to go down to expo, press the roller button again, and add in the expo that we want. So it's pretty standard stuff. Pressing return will take us out of it and out of it again. So that's pretty standard. If we talk then about how we're going to actually add a wing model, because a wing model that has both the ailerons and elevator isn't on here by default. So again, we're going to press and hold the roller button, say model select, press and hold the roller button again, create model. This time we'll just select plane, and we'll just page through everything. We're going to select the bottom piece, say yes, all is well, and then return to exit. Now, if I go and we hold the model page for this, return, hold the model page, and page, inputs are standard. So again, that's where we could do things like dual rates and all that goodness. Outputs, we have some weird and wackiness. We'll actually press and hold the second aileron. Let's just delete that, we don't need that. Press and hold the rudder, we'll delete that as well. And then on the aileron and elevator, we're going to change some things. So press and hold aileron, say edit. We're going to go down, change the weight of that to 50. There we go. Hit enter. Press return and return again. We're going to do the same for elevator. And we're going to return out of that. We're going to press and hold aileron, and we're going to say copy, and we're going to move it down so it's underneath the elevator. So there we go. So channel 2 is going to be one of the controls on a wing. We're going to highlight elevator. We're going to edit that. We're going to say copy. We're going to move that to the top. And one of these ailerons is probably going to be wrong, so let's just guess. We'll make that -50 just for a standard kind of setup. You will always have to tweak these about depending on how the actual physical things are on your wing. but there is the basic wing setup. So you've got channel 1 is going to be one of the servos, channel 2 is going to be the other one, throttle is going to go into channel 3. So that's how you'd set up something like a wing. To set up something like a multi-rotor, I would do it exactly the same way as you would do a plane setup. So let's do that very quickly. So we'll go into model select, we'll press and hold it, we'll create a model, we'll click plane again, we will then page through. We don't need 2 ailerons, let's just have 1. Have flaps, no. Yep, that's fine. Yep. So what we'll do then is we'll press and hold, once we've come out of that, the model button, and then the only thing you need to do here, of course, is add a couple of extra switches and things for your arming and your modes. So go into the mixer, go down to channel 5 is the one that I normally use for arming. So we'll call it arm, return. We'll select the source that we want, so flick whichever switch you're after. There we go. And you can actually see at the bottom the individual channels moving. So both the input and also the output channel that it's connected to. So hit the roller button again, press exit, and then if we wanted this one to be mode, and again return, come down here. By default it's picking up the 6 positions. These are great for things like Ardu Pilot and Ardu Plane, Ardu Copter, but for now I'll just select, hit enter, flick the 3 position switch that I would normally use, and then come out of that, and there we are. Yeah, set up. Now what I would normally do is I would normally create a basic plane with all of the expo and everything I like. I would also create a basic wing and also a quad, and just have them that you could just copy, because then when you get a new model, all you do is you highlight the template, just say duplicate model, and then you can edit that up for the particular one you're interested in. So that's how you create models. It's pretty straightforward. Just adding channels and doing everything is very much the same as OpenTX. The only other thing I'm going to show you then on the radio before we have a quick look on the computer is if you press and hold the telemetry screen, this is how you set up the telemetry. So on here, by pressing page again, you can either change the theme with a different background color. You can also change the top bar, which can be very handy. There are 4 positions in the top bar that you can choose from. Hopefully you can see as I'm rolling around, I can pick it. If I pick one, I can decide what the pieces are going to be, whether it's going to be my output, some text, whether it's going to be the timer value. So let's have timer 1. If you've got that set up, that'll be perfect. So now when I come out of all that, timer 1 is in that position, and there's 4 widgets, but that's how you use that last button. Now you can actually connect this up to the computer. If I just turn this off and use it to transfer files and things, exactly the same as other OpenTX, JumperTX powered radios. Hold the horizontal trims to the middle position, press the power button, and then we're into the JumperTX bootloader, where we can either write firmware or exit, or you can plug a USB cable into it, and that USB cable is hidden at the top. So let me just plug a USB cable into the computer, and let me show you a couple of things. So on the PC, I've just got Companion running here, but we'll come on to that in 1 second. If I plug the radio in using the USB cable into the port at the top, then it says USB connected on the front of the radio, and now it's plugged in. I get 2 drives appearing on my computer. The first one looks like that, which is called T16, which has firmware on it. Don't worry about that one for the moment. The next one is called removable disk, and you can see all this stuff on. Now this is actually the contents of the SD card. So we have all of the things here, including all the Lua scripts. So if we look in here, there's all the Crossfire Lua scripts, and you can add them by just dragging and dropping them into these individual folders, or if you wanted to add sounds, you could put them in here, or if you wanted to add images to add to your particular radio, then you could drag and drop them in here. Just match the settings of any of the individual pieces that's in here to get the image settings the same size, color depth, everything same format. And so that's the first thing. Second thing is, this is unsupported. People kind of got in touch after the first video and told me about this, which is great. Now I'm in Companion 2.22 here. If I go into the settings and look at the radio profile, I'm actually using the Horus X10 X10S profile. So make sure you've got that set up first. Once you've got that, you can actually download the models and settings from the radio and it will appear. Now here's all the ones that we've just been playing with. So if I go into, let's say, model 11, here's all the stuff, and this is because Jumper TX is kind of a version of OpenTX for the Jumper radios. All the stuff that we've just set up, so there is the stuff that we just did in the wing, is all available here. So you can actually edit things in Companion, and then you can write that stuff back to the radio. You do have to be careful of a couple of things. The main one is this isn't supported. This radio isn't officially supported, so you've got to make sure you have the FR Sky Horus X10 X10S radio profile selected. It's the closest match that kind of works here, because it's kind of the X10 version of the firmware that's on this particular radio and called Jumper TX. The second thing is, be careful when you're setting this up. Playing with this, and I've had reports that some of the switch positions in some of the modes are slightly different. So for example, when you're setting up maybe mixes, you're setting up individual controls. So say we're going to add a control here, we'll put on a particular switch position. Some of these switches may or may not be the right way round, so you might have to just triple check when you write it all back onto the radio that it's actually all going to work okay. So hopefully that's interesting for those of you that are playing with this radio or thinking about getting it. I know lots of people were saying that the fact that it doesn't work with Companion is a showstopper. The fact is it does. I don't think it's supported in any way, shape or form, but you can get things to and from it. But I would always just be very cautious of that. Always make sure that you're backing up your memories on your radios before you come in here, because hopefully for future versions of Companion we'll be happy and continue to support it. But it does mean that you can still access and back up your model memories and do all that goodness through the application. Thanks for watching the video and watching right to the very end. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you like the video and like what I'm doing here, then hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon too. If you really like what I'm doing, you can go the extra mile and become one of my Patreons for access to me directly for support, and also giveaways and regular updates too. If you're looking for particular content, then check out the playlist. I organise all of my videos into playlists, so if you're looking for a particular topic, you can find everything here. If it's called Introduction To, it's designed to start very simply and build on that simple introduction to teach you all about it. If it's called For Beginners, then that is really aimed at people who are brand new to that part of the hobby. You can also search on YouTube for anything that you're interested in using the search function at the top. So iNav Painless 360 will find all of my videos and even the playlists around iNav. So thanks again for watching, and happy flying.